Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is new music picks of 2026. I'm going to talk about 4 albums that came out over the past week and give my quick first impressions of them, starting with the Claypool Lennon Delirium and their album, The Great Paradox and the Golden Egg of Empathy. So that's Parrot ox, like the animal, a parrot, and the animal, an ox, kind of a pun for the word paradox. And this is their 3rd album. They're an American band, psychedelic rock with progressive rock, art rock, and funk rock influences. And I'm putting this one from the Lennon Claypool Delirium in my near masterpiece tier. I love their first 2 albums as well. I love all the early singles I heard from this album. My favorite single is The Golden Egg of Empathy, which features Willow, another interesting artist who I'm surprised to see featured here with this band. She's Will Smith's daughter, and I really enjoyed her album Empathogen from 2024, as well as her album from this year, too. I think she's an excellent musician as well, and that song with her has sick, funky bass playing from Les Claypool. He's one of my favorite bass players ever, from Primus fame. And then the guitars and keyboards from Sean Ono Lennon, son of John Lennon, are really well done here too. And both Les and Sean do vocals. I think if anyone's going to have any sticking points with this, it would probably be the vocals. They're the part that mainstream normal music fans might struggle with on this album. Because they are quirky, they're silly, they're over the top, but they're fun. If you know Primus, then you kind of know what you're getting in for with Les Claypool vocals. And my 3 favorite tracks currently are the 3 early singles I heard ahead of the album, The Golden Egg of Empathy as my favorite, Meat Machines, which has a reggae feel to it while still being psychedelic and having a really catchy chorus, and WAP, standing for What a Predicament, not Wet Ass Pussy, not that song. But every track is solid on this album. Check it out if you want to hear what it would sound like if Primus and the Beatles teamed up. So that one came out May 1st. A couple of these came out May 1st, but this next one, it came out April 28th. And it's by a Canadian project called Same Fears, and the EP is called The Right to Be Forgotten. This is hardcore punk with progressive metal, gent, and black metal influences. And I'm putting this one in my very good tier. So Same Fears is a one-man Canadian project by Michael Aradi, who is the former drummer of Protest the Hero and The Kindred, and formerly called Today I Caught the Plague. You can see my Today I Caught the Plague poster up. Where is it? How do I move my hand? There. And the Kindred sticker there. So I love his projects that he's played drums in before, and he plays all the instruments here. He does all the vocals here, and all the vocals he does here are harsh vocals, but he brings in some good variety to his harsh vocals. He's got most of them sounding like hardcore punk vocals, but occasionally low gutturals that sound like death metal, and occasionally higher shrieks that sound like black metal. The guitar riffs here are pretty genty and groovy, and the drumming is fast and phenomenal, as expected, and you can tell that that's his main instrument that he's extremely gifted at. He does a good job on the other instruments, but it's really the drums where he is amazing. And I hope he works on a full-length album for this project one day. But of course, I would also love to see him reunite with my favorite lineup of The Kindred from their Life and Lucidity album, if that's at all possible. I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen, but that would be an awesome thing to happen. But if this sounds good to you, check out The Right to Be Forgotten by Same Fears. Next, I want to mention Geoff Tate who put out Operation Mindcrime 3 on May 3rd. This is the third solo album by this American musician. It's progressive metal with hard rock influences, and I'm putting it in my very good tier as well. Geoff Tate's a vocalist who rose to fame with the progressive metal band Queensryche, and I'm not sure how to feel about this album, as I enjoy the original Operation Mindcrime album by Queensryche. Then Queensryche made an Operation Mindcrime 2 album, which was not as good as the original, but it was okay enough. Going in, I was worried this might be beating a dead horse and be kind of a lame step down even from Operation Mindcrime 2, but I was curious to check it out because if it could be as good as the original album by Queensryche, then I would be a fan of it. But I was not super optimistic, but I was curious. So upon listening to it, I was pleasantly surprised. This is even better than I expected. Jeff's vocals still sound great at his age. He's 67 years old. Though there are some parts where I feel like there could be some use of pitch correction in the production, which I don't really like. I'm not 100% sure if pitch correction is used, so don't quote me on that. But the guitar playing on the album's great. Some of the choruses are solid and catchy. I didn't follow the story or the concept much to figure out how it continues the story from part 1 and 2. I do feel like the whole thing is a bit of a cash grab to cash in on the success of Operation Mindcrime Part 1. I would have preferred it if he actually tried to do something original, but I understand that he knows more people will listen to it with this title. And maybe I wouldn't have even checked it out if I didn't see the title Operation Mindcrime 3. So some of the lyrics here seem a bit cheesy with some unnecessary swearing to sound like a tough guy. Some of the spoken word parts are also a bit cheesy, but I imagine they contribute to the story. And if you're a fan of like the narrative and the concept of part 1 and 2 and want to see it continued, I think that could be cool for you to check out. All in all, I actually think this could be a bit better than Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime 2 album, but of course not as good as the original part 1 album. So check it out if you're a fan of Geoff Tate's vocals, or if you're a fan of Operation Mindcrime and you want to hear the story and the vibe of that album get continued. There are a couple surprises along the way too. I was surprised when I heard a couple harsh screams on the third track, The Answer. Some of the softer ballads are good too. Some of the heavier moments are good. So better than I expected, but not surpassing Operation Mindcrime, the original. But if that sounds good to you, check out Operation Mindcrime 3 by Geoff Tate. I put it in my very good tier. And lastly, I want to talk about an album that came out May 1st by American Football. It's their 4th self-titled album, so they call it just American Football, but they also call it LP4. And yeah, it's their 4th album. They're an American band. This is kind of a post-rock album. It's got Midwest emo, dream pop, math rock, indie rock all mixed in. And I'm putting this in my very good tier as well. All 3 of these albums, besides the Lennon Claypool Delirium, they're all very close in quality, so it's kind of hard to rank them, but I knew that Claypool Lennon Delirium was my favorite of the week, and then these 3 are all duking it out for second place. But yeah, I never listened to an album by American Football before this, but I heard the singles Bad Moons and No Feeling. I enjoyed those, so I put this on my list. And the whole album just has a nice vibe to it. The guitars reminded me of a band I like called Monine, very atmospheric and layered with effects and stuff. My only criticism would be that none of the songs were memorable enough to stick with me. It's very much just like an ambient, melodic, emotional vibe of an album rather than something with songs that stick. But if you like that kind of music, definitely check out American Football LP4. And that's it for my first impressions of these 4 albums that came out over the past week. What do you think of these? Let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so you can stay in the loop when I post new videos. My next video in this series, I'll be giving my quick first impressions of new music from Black Orchid Empire, Terra Maze, Carmangica, The Lemon Twigs, and Carcius. So stay tuned for that, and peace out.